Hi, my name is Mark. I think it has been a while since we took a look at a lick from a guitar player that I either think is interesting or a little bit different from what they usually play. Now that I think about it, weird and interesting, perhaps we should give this a name like Weird Interesting Licks? Like weird and interesting, weird interesting, I don't know. You guys tell me in the comment section below. But today we're taking a look at a Greg Koch lick, and if you don't know who Greg Koch is, I highly suggest you go check him out. He does these demo videos for expensive guitars in the Wildwood Guitars channel. He's got a bunch of solo albums out and an album with his Koch Marshall trio, where they play these rocky, funky, jazzy, country-ish songs. And Greg is the sort of guy that does these weird bends and vibratos and plays many of these licks that almost sound like parodies of their original licks. But today we're taking a look at this lick that at first really caught my ears because it doesn't really sound like a cliche Greg Koch lick. Not like his playing isn't any sort of cliche, but there's these types of licks that he plays, and this one isn't one of them. Here's the lick. I hope this doesn't take down my video. And as you can hear, it almost has this kind of Spread Triad vibe. Even though we aren't exactly playing Spread Triads, it kind of has that almost outside vibe that those sorts of licks kind of bring out. In a way, almost a futuristic vibe. It instantly piqued my interest. One, because it's a cool lick, but two, because it ends up giving you some nice possibilities for your own soloing and improvising, just by altering a few notes. So let me show you how it goes and how you can use it yourself. But before I do, I just want to say please subscribe to my channel. You're probably aware that YouTube's been acting a little bit weird lately. Even if you subscribe to the channel, this channel's videos may really not show up in our subscription box. And even if you ring the little notification bell thingy below, you still will not be notified of that channel's content. So if you want to stay tuned to my content, you really should subscribe and turn on all the notifications. And since that may or may not work, I highly suggest you follow me on social media. Not only do I post some exclusive stuff there, like improvised solos and jamming over backing tracks, and generally wherever I'm up to at the moment, but I always post there about my videos. Links for the usual suspects will be below, like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but in general, at Mark Guitar. Oh, and since you're down there, please consider leaving a like, and perhaps share this video on social media. I'd highly appreciate it. But yeah, I guess now we can get straight into it. Okay, so I'll play the lick with tabs, and then I'll play it a little slower, also with tabs. Okay, so the lick is pretty much in C Dorian. The C Dorian scale is the second mode of A sharp major, and it's pretty much a regular minor scale but with a natural sixth instead of a minor sixth. But if you don't know much about theory or the modes or whatever, I have some videos you may want to check out in the card section right there. But an easy way for you to apply this lick is that if you're playing around your minor pentatonic, let's say your C minor pentatonic, all you need to do to make your minor pentatonic scale into a Dorian scale is to add the note D and to add the note A. So you get this scale. If you play it all the way down, you get. And if you get back to the lick this lesson is based on, what Greg is essentially doing is he's picking chords on the C Dorian scale and moving them on thirds. The first chord of C Dorian is a C minor chord. And since he's going on thirds, what that means is that we're going to the third of that note. So C, D, E flat, going thirds, 1, 2, 3. We're basically skipping one note at a time. So C, we skip to E flat, and the E flat chord is an E flat major chord. Or we can do it in this position. Then we're skipping from E flat, F, G. We're going to G, and G corresponds to a G minor chord. Again, we can go to G, A, B flat. So you go straight to the B flat, we skip the A, and that's a major chord as well. And we could keep going up, and eventually we would reach the C minor chord again. And we can repeat the whole process. And if you do them in close position like this, you can see that when moving from chord to chord, that there's always at least one note in common. Because when you have like a C minor chord, that chord is made out of the root, the third note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, in this case is that E flat, here's the E flat, and the fifth, in this case being the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, G. And again, after the C we move to that E flat, and if we check out the third and the fifth of E flat, you got 1, 2, 3. The third of E flat is at G, which is the fifth of C. So when you move chords, there's always at least one note in common. So when you're moving up these chord positions, you're pretty much just playing one big chord. If I play those notes in this sort of closed position, the lick would be sort of like. Some of you will recognize these as positions of the Cage system, but you don't really need to worry much about it. If you take a look at it, here's your C minor, here's your E flat, here's your G minor, here's your A flat. And if we get back to the lick this lesson is based on, and in the context of Greg's playing, in that video he's just playing over some sort of a C minor, C dominant 7th vibe, what Greg did. Instead of just playing normal triads, he switched the 5th. In the case of C minor, the 5th is that G for the next third up, which in this context would be the 7th. So you almost get this C minor 7 vibe. We're missing the 5th, the G, to make up the complete C minor 7 chord. But it's close enough for the context of our little vamp, which doesn't really require us to really emphasize that G note. But when we move to the next chord, which would be that E flat major chord, again, you switch the 5th of that chord, in this case being that B flat. The 3rd of that B flat would be the note D. So again, you got this pseudo E flat major 7 vibe. You do the same thing for the G minor chord. You switch the 5th, in this case the D, for the 7th of that chord. In this case, the 7th being that F note. And again, you almost get this sort of G minor 7 vibe. And finally, here's your B flat major. You switch the 5th for the 7th. And there you have Greg's lick. And you can play that lick next time you have a C minor chord or a C minor 7 chord. Or next time you're playing over a Dorian backing track, you can play this sort of a thing. But there's also some other stuff you can do with this sort of concept. Number one is you can change the scale. For instance, instead of playing in C Dorian, you can be playing in C Aeolian, aka C natural minor, which is again like your Dorian scale. Instead of having an A, you have an A flat. And in the context of a lick, it will be pretty much the same thing. But instead of playing this sort of A sharp major 7, you'll play an A sharp dominant 7th. So you get this sort of sound, again pretty similar but not really the same. And you can even do it with weirder scales like the melodic minor scale or the Hungarian major scale, which sound cool and can give you that sort of outside vibe. Again, remember that we're playing that sort of C minor, C dominant 7th vibe. And if while playing that you play one of these before mentioned licks, you can really catch the audience off guard. But another thing you can do that's a little bit more thought out is, for instance, let's say that we're playing in C minor, not C Dorian. Again, it's the same Greg Koch lick, but with that B flat dominant 7th chord instead of a B flat major 7th chord. The sort of dominant 7th chord was resolved to its 4th. In this case, the 4th of B flat is E flat. And you can hear resolution, right? So if for some reason you're playing over a chord progression like C minor, E flat major, if you play this lick when going from one chord to another, it almost makes your playing sound a little bit more refined, like you meant to play that. You're making the resolution to that chord a little bit more obvious. Or if you're playing over something with some sort of C harmonic minor vibe, like you're playing over C minor and G major. Again, the lick would be pretty much the same. The only difference is when doing the first chord, the C minor 7th chord, you have to replace your B flat with a B. This would be the same. Instead of having a pseudo G minor 7 chord, you have a pseudo G dominant 7th chord. Instead of having a B flat dominant 7th chord, you would have some sort of a B diminished chord. And you can result back to your C minor, something like... Again, in a way, it's not like it's something that's completely revolutionary. But one, as I mentioned before, it can make your improvising and soloing sound a little bit more refined, like you're actually thinking about the chord changes and making some cool resolutions to it. If you're looking for that sort of futuristic, in some ways outside sounding, spread triad-ish sound, this is a good place to start. Again, this is a C minor chord. But this is also a C minor chord. And if you're playing over a C minor chord and you're playing just your regular minor pentatonic stuff, play a C minor arpeggio and you play this sort of voicing. If you play this voicing instead, it won't make you feel the same way. But getting back to Greg's lick and summing this all up, in Greg's case he chose to replace the 5th of each chord for its 7th. But you don't need to replace it with its 7th. You can replace the 5th with the 6th, for instance. You can pick specific licks. In this case we were just playing arpeggios. And you can change them to your liking. And you can use them for different purposes. You can just use them as just a regular lick, or you can use this sort of a thing as a way to get to chords, again with that resolution. Or maybe you can get some even more outside vibes if you change the scale from your bluesy, jazzy sounding Dorian scale to a more weirder scale, or even change it to the tonality of your song. There's tons of stuff you can do with this sort of idea. And hey, if you actually end up using any of this stuff, please film yourself playing it and post it on Instagram. Not only will I see it, but I'll repost it and tag you on it. I really like to see what you guys can come up with. But for now, let's just get to the outro. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you in any way possible. And if it was, please leave me a comment below. Do you have anything to add to this discussion? Did you agree? Did you not agree? Was there something I missed? Something I should have said? Also, if you have any suggestions for videos, I have this dedicated series called The 8, You Ask I Teach. I know, pretty boring, generic, and self-explanatory title, but as you can guess and the name implies, I pretty much teach anything you guys leave in the comment section below. Well, guitar and their music related, of course. There are already a couple of episodes that you can check out. I'll leave the playlist with that series on the card section right there. And as you can guess, I also make videos like this, where I take a look at a lick from a guitar player that I either think is interesting or a little bit different from what they usually play, and transcribe it so that you guys can check out. But I also do some other videos where I sometimes take a look at a specific music theory concept and explain it so that you guys can use it. Or sometimes I talk about technique or regular guitar soloing stuff, composing and songwriting tips, you name it, you'll probably find a video about it on my channel. So if you can, go check them out. There's already a little bit of a back catalog going on. But yeah, I guess that's it. Again, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and on all the notifications. Follow me on social media, share this video on social media. Check some of my other videos after this one. Perhaps leave a comment for my 8 series. That series can only keep going on if you guys leave a comment. But yeah, too much rambling. Cheers!